are very serious problems, and from my understanding, property management was not available so that city inspectors could see and look at that damage firsthand. Now, they may have looked at it, I don't know the agenda or the procedures that they've been following. But just on the balcony steps, where the balcony meets the steps of building 242, there are bolts that hold that step unit to the balcony, and all of those bolts are out several inches and are loose. And my main concern coming to this proceeding tonight was to find out, should I look for alternative housing, and what is the, pardon me? And, should I make decisions in terms of my housing? I signed a lease on May 6th, and the balcony was collapsed on May 17th, I believe, and kind of threw the entire question of where my housing might be into question. So I'm hoping the commission will take the proper steps to make sure that all of the things that I've mentioned are addressed here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robb. The four other people that have signed up for citizens' comment, let me just raise a question here. If your comments are relative to this specific case on the agenda tonight, then your comments really should be saved to when that case is under discussion, as Ms. Robb is doing. But let me ask the other four people that have signed up, Jennings, Ritchie, Garcia, and King. If your comments are more general in nature and addressed to the commission in general, we'll hear you now. But if not, I think we'll save your comments until the case. Are any of the four of you wanting to make more general comments to the commission?
I'm just thinking that there might have been a little confusion that this was our opportunity to speak, and instead of waiting until after the agenda item had been discussed. When it was announced, there was a little confusion. I thought I was announced to speak. I would just soon wait until after the agenda item had been gone over for a little bit.
All right. And you are?
Me.
Great. Anyone?
Same goes for me.
Okay. Does anyone want to speak now as opposed to for dealing with this specific case? Okay, then I think we'll proceed on to the cases on our agenda tonight. Before we actually hear the case, though, I am going to ask Steve to present the city staff that are here, introduce himself and all of the staff, and then proceed to present the case.
Good evening. My name is Steve Ramirez. I'm the Assistant Division Manager for Code Compliance Legal Operations. We have a number of staff in Code Compliance as well as from other city departments that are present this evening. They're kind of spread out throughout the room, but at this time I'd like to ask that each one of them that are here tonight to stand up and introduce yourselves, starting, I guess, over here with Melissa.
Melissa Martinez, Code Compliance, Public Information.
Matthew Noriega, Code Compliance Inspector from the South District.
Building and Standards Commission Coordinator.
Christopher Moore, also Building and Standards Commission Coordinator.
Kathleen Buchanan, Assistant City Attorney.
I'm Carl Smart, Director of Code Compliance Department. I'm Daniel Cardenas, Assistant Director of Code Compliance.
Hans Wilcox, South District Supervisor, Code Compliance.
Ron Fox, Assistant Division Manager, Code Compliance, South and East District.
Graham Helmy, Senior Structural Engineer, and Quality Standards Management Division, Public Works.
Matthew Christensen, Assistant Division Manager for Training and Special Operations.
And in the back.
Steve Lee, Division Manager, Code Compliance.
Okay. Madam Chair, I believe that's everyone.
Great, glad to have you all here. Steve, will you proceed then with the presentation of the case?
Yes. As I say, good evening. The hearing this evening and the case for the Commission's consideration, of course, concern the conditions at the 15-building apartment complex located at 1900 Burton Drive. All 15 buildings are included on the agenda for this hearing. The fortunate thing to report to you this evening is that 5 of the buildings, buildings 3, 9, 10, 11, and 13, these are the buildings that were in danger of collapse, are no longer in imminent danger as a result of the completion of temporary shoring work at those buildings to the elevated walkways. So tonight's presentation will focus on the final repairs that are needed on all the walkways at all the buildings. Given that all these cases concern the same property and the same property owner, our presentation and testimony will be presented jointly as a package. Where necessary, specific testimony will be given to describe conditions specific to certain buildings and actions taken. We'll start by reading each case into the record, including the
May I interrupt you to ask the property owner's representatives to introduce themselves?
Sure.
Good evening, Dr. Davey. My name is Corey Rogers, and I'm an attorney here on behalf of the owner. I'm Justin Capps, I'm Regional Operations Manager for Camp Construction, with the contractor who's been working with us. I'm Jerry Garcia, I'm Principal of Structures with the structural engineers of record that are assisting with repairs of the walkway project.
Great, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
No problem. And as a matter of clarity on the notices that have been issued and what is that on the agenda for tonight, the 5 buildings that had imminent dangers, there was a vacate order that was issued, and that vacate order has been lifted as of today. As I was saying earlier, we're going to present these cases as a package with given that it's one property, 15 buildings, one property owner. We'll start by reading each case into the record, including the address and the case number. Following that, we'll provide a summary of the events and the actions that have been taken to address the conditions found at the property. Lastly, we'll introduce the exhibits and provide testimony regarding violations and present our recommended order. So I'll begin with reading the cases into the record. Case number CL 2012-052362. The address is 1900 Burton Drive, Building 1. Case CL 2012-052496, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 2. Case CL 2012-052500, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 3. Case CL 2012-052503, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 4. Case CL 2012-052506, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 5. Case CL 2012-052509, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 6. CL 2012-052510, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 7. CL 2012-052511, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 8. Case CL 2012-052513, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 9. Case CL 2012-052514, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 10. Case CL 2012-052515, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 11. Case CL-201-2-05-2517, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 12. Case CL-2012-05-2518, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 13. Case CL-2012-05-2519, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 14. Case CL-2012-05-2521, 1900 Burton Drive, Building 15. In your readers, you have Exhibit 1 for each case. This exhibit contains notices of violation and hearing, case history, as well as supporting documents, including the city's engineer's report. The listing of photos has been provided to you, Madam Chair, as a hard copy, and these will be read into the record at the conclusion of the presentation. At this time, I'd like to ask Code
Since we don't have hard copies. Oh, are you talking about a list?
Just a listing of the photo exhibits. This time, I'd like to ask Code Compliance field staff to come forward and provide testimony regarding events and actions, including a description of violations.
Good evening, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ron Potts, Assistant Division Manager of Field Operations for Code Compliance South and East Districts. I first received a call on May 16th, approximately 9 p.m. from Austin Fire Department City Marshal Joe Lamone. He called me at home and said that the fire department was out at 1900 Burton Drive on a dangerous structure that had partially collapsed. I responded with 2 inspectors, Gary Reynolds and Troy Collins, and arrived on the scene approximately 9:44 p.m. On arrival, Building 2 was being evacuated by fire department personnel on the scene and fire engineers that on the scene. The walkway from Building 2 had separated from the structure, and it looked as though it was in the process of collapse. We had contractors from the ownership on site as well as property management. As we evacuated personnel from Building 2, we ordered the fence up the property in order that we saw that there would be further collapse from the walkway. Fearing that would endanger people's lives. So we ordered up the walkway, and we stayed there till 3:30 in the morning to ensure that the dangerous condition of Building 2 was mitigated. The collapse did occur the next day on May 17th, where there was full collapse of the walkway. On that day, we also brought in Todd Wilcox, which is the South team, and had his inspectors come out and start looking at all the walkways for the entire property. That inspection went on for 2 days, and I'm going to let Todd come up and talk about the process, inspectors, and working with the engineers and management from the complex to inspect further balconies and walkways of the property. Todd?
Good evening. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Todd Wilcox, and I'm the South District Supervisor for the Code Compliance Department. On the morning of May 17th, my Assistant Division Manager, Ron Potts, instructed me to take a crew and perform an exterior inspection at 1900 Burton, the Woodbridge Apartment. Due to a partial walkway collapse he had responded to the night before on May 16th. 1900 Burton is a multi-family complex with 134 units and 15 two-story buildings. When we arrived on the site, Building 2 had been vacated by the order of the Austin Fire Department and fenced off. After beginning the exterior inspection, the walkway of Building 2 completely collapsed, which put a portion of Building 1 in jeopardy because of the close proximity of the collapsed walkway and the walkway columns of Building 1. We immediately vacated 6 additional units in Building 1. Later that day, the owner's third-party structural engineer arrived on site and performed an inspection on the walkways of the buildings in the complex. Code compliance inspectors and several other people accompanied the engineer during this inspection. The engineer identified several buildings that showed signs of collapse, with things such as water-damaged structural components, leaning columns, and what appeared to be gaps between the walkways and the building that had been covered up by trim boards and soffit boards. The buildings identified that day were buildings 3, 10, 11, and 13. On May the 18th, another inspection was performed with the same third-party engineer, a City of Austin structural engineer, the Fire Marshal's Office, Code Compliance Department, and several other people. The city engineer and the third-party engineer agreed that even though all the buildings appeared to be substandard, 5 buildings, which one was added the second day, building 9, so now they included buildings 3, 9, 10, 11, and 13, were in imminent danger of collapse. And please refer to Exhibit 1 for the city engineer's report and photographs of the inspection. After conferring with Code Compliance Management and City Legal, an order was created to vacate an additional 42 units in the 5 affected buildings. The order was given to the complex management on the evening of May the 18th. On May the 21st, we returned, and 30 municipal court citations were issued to the complex owner and signed for by the complex regional manager. The citations were mailed to the owner. 2 citations were issued for each of the 15 buildings in accordance with the International Property Maintenance Code. The first was for the exterior structure not being maintained, and the second was for means of egress, safe path due to the dangerous walkways. On May the 25th, notices of violation were also sent to the complex owner, management, and other legally interested parties. The notices contain the following violations in accordance with the International Property Maintenance Code. First, Section 304.1.1, exterior conditions unsafe. Second level walkways not structurally sound and not properly anchored. Secondly, 304.10, second level walkways not structurally sound and not capable of supporting imposed loads. Third, 702.1, a safe, continuous, and unobstructed path of travel shall be provided from the second level walkway to the public way. Means of egress shall comply with the fire code. To date, all 15 buildings have been issued permits to install temporary support system for the second floor walkways. In addition, a demolition permit for the walkway on the first building, Building 2, was issued. The walkway was removed, and the permit was final. Also, permits were issued for 3 buildings, Building 9, 11, and 13, to repair wall boards in order to support the temporary walkway support system. Buildings 3, 9, 10, 11, and 13 have received third-party engineer reports stating that the temporary support system has been installed in accordance with engineer drawings and received final building and fire inspections for the temporary support system, and the order to vacate was lifted.
Inspector Noriega passes out our copies of our findings and facts, conclusions of law and recommended order. I'm going to go ahead and read into the record what those recommendations are. We are requesting the following for each case: that the Commission adopt the findings of facts for each case and the recommended orders for each case that are contained in your hard copy. That you order all necessary permits to be secured. That you order all repairs to be completed within 90 days of the date this order is mailed to the owner. That all repairs, modifications, and abatements shall meet or exceed the requirements of the International Property Maintenance Code and all applicable codes. That all required engineers' reports and certifications shall be submitted to the City of Austin within 90 days of the date this order is mailed to the owner. The owner and owner's representatives shall request inspections to verify compliance. After 90 days, a penalty of $1,000 per week shall be assessed per case per building until work is completed with final inspection passed. And at this time, I'd like to also read into the record the photographs and the exhibits. We'd like to ask that you admit Exhibit 1 for each case. And for Building 1, photographs marked 2A through 2E. For Building 2, photographs marked 2A through 2H. For Building 3, photographs marked 2A through 2Q. For Building 4, photographs marked 2A through 2I. For Building 5, photographs marked 2A through 2J. For Building 6, photographs marked 2A through 2M. For Building 7, photographs marked 2A through 2J. For Building 8, photographs marked 2A through 2D. For Building 9, photographs marked 2A through 2L. For Building 10, photographs marked 2A through 2G. For Building 11, photographs marked 2A through 2I. For Building 12, photographs marked 2A through 2F. For Building 13, photographs marked 2A through 2H. For Building 14, photographs marked 2A through 2E. And for Building 15, photographs marked 2A through 2H.
If there are no objections, I will admit Exhibit 1 for each building, and the photos for each building as just read by Steve.
That concludes our presentation. As I mentioned earlier, we have a number of city staff here to answer any questions after the present their proposal.
Okay, do any commission members have any questions for the city staff? All right, Mr. Rogers and your representative, do you have any objection to the recommended order?
Small. I'm concerned about the wait time to get
I can't hear him. Could you get him a microphone, please?
Get your stand up.
Thank you. Is it on?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Beebe, I do have some concern about the amount of time that we're being given to get this done. I do think it is feasible, and I appreciate the cooperation that the city has shown us at this point. I know that this has been a joint effort in working with all of the permit office and ensuring that everything gets done in a timely fashion. But in addition to being done in a timely fashion, safety is obviously paramount concern. That's what brought us all here today. That's why we're in this room right now dealing with these issues. And as a result of that, I'm not sure that we can get this done in that amount of time and have it done safely. There are a number of issues with the property, as might be seen and as the residents testified to. The ability to get access in and out of the property is somewhat limited. The work that has to be done as far as some of the wood replacement and the other issues are going to require like piecemeal, hands-on efforts. And the ability to get access into the property while still having a number of the buildings maintain habitability and having people and residents still be able to conduct their lives in there without us having to bring in construction and individuals that are going to work on the property who will take up all of the parking spaces and forbid access to the units from the individuals that are here. We just think we need a little more time to be able to do a building by building breakdown. Obviously, we're going to be happy to work with the city along the way and conduct multiple inspections as we go. It's really this access issue to the city for delivery and for staging that has us most concerned, I think, about meeting the 90-day requirement. I do think either 120-day might be a possibility, and we would also be happy to come back at the regular Buildings Commission meeting and make reports and keep you abreast of where we're going and what we're doing to get there to make sure that we're complying and working in a safe manner to make sure these buildings are all brought to code and made habitable.
Do any of your other representatives have any comments? Do any commission members have any questions for the representatives?
Yes, Chair, I'd like to ask Representative, clarification first. You've released the vacate order so that people are back in their dwellings now?
Our position is that the vacate order has been lifted. We're not getting authorization. It's not the city of Austin's authority to address.
All these documents that you gave us in front of us correctly, all the building permits have been secured only for the temporary structure and storing of elevated walkway for all buildings, is that correct?
Currently, we have temporary.
We wanted to see exactly what the plans that they're recommending. Again, I think it's very feasible, obviously, as just pointed out by the city attorney. The 90 days is what it is, and we'll just have to make that happen. I would still encourage you to take that on. Obviously, code compliance are experts in this area, and their findings of fact and conclusions of law, while not binding on this commission, I hope are very persuasive, and they've done a very thorough job, and they've worked with us step by step, trying to make sure that this gets repaired and that we don't have any issues like this ever happen again.
Okay, before we proceed and close the hearing and discuss the case among us, I'm going to stop now for the citizen input. Mrs. Ross, would you come forward and here's the microphone.
With them for the last week and a half. $500 does not pay a hotel room for 1 week. And the food.
Excuse me. Would you give your interest in the case? Are you a resident?
I am a concerned citizen. I am an advocate for affordable housing, and I have worked with people at Shoreline when they were displaced. Some of these families that lived at Shoreline called me because this was happening at business. So we still have many families that are living in hotel rooms. We have families that are living with other friends and families. We had one young woman living on the street. So what we would want for this company to do is we would like to hold them accountable for you to pay their rent and deposits and their food that they're spending every day because you have inconvenienced them. This is wrong. This is not just. And so I would encourage this company to do that. Now, on the other hand, Mr. Rogers, you said that Sam Cisneros would be the contact person. Well, this company is a very hostile company, and they do not treat the families with respect and dignity. So, that's all I have to say.